All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Nisswa Planning Commission Board of Adjustment for Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Jesse Zone.
Sean Weldon.
Josh Young.
Gary Harris.
Maggie Wentler, Bethany Sutherland.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next, to approve the meeting minutes for May 7th, 2024. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is an open forum. We are empty in our audience except for our city administrator, so I'm assuming she doesn't want to have anything to say. We have no public hearings, so we'll move on to new business, the downtown master plan proposals.
Thank you, Chair Young. In response to our RFP, the city of Nisswa received 4 downtown master plan proposals from Bolton and Mink, HKGI, Widseth, and the New Northern. At the May 21st, 2024 meeting, the city council directed staff to select which firms most closely aligned with our goals, to further refine the scope of services, and to work within a $120,000 budget. Included in this packet are 3 of the 4 submitted proposals from Bolton and Mink, HKGI, and Widseth. The New Northern's proposal was not selected as staff determined that it did not support the needs of the city. Just to start going through them, I thought I would give just an overview of what each plan has, along with how they then refined the scope and the budget to meet our needs. I'll start off with Bolton and Mink. Their initial proposal came in at 86.5 thousand. Their revised proposal is at 118.9 thousand. They've divided it into different tasks, starting with task number 0, which is the kickoff meeting and engagement plan. They have regular progress meetings also monthly with staff. Task 1 through 5, just starting with that, with number 1 is engagement and visioning. They have conditions assessment. They have a framework plan and recommendation, an implementation plan, and a final downtown master plan. Each of these tasks clearly identifies the deliverables in their proposal. They have the engagement plan broken down to include the dedicated project website, general communication, social media posts, online survey, articles and press releases, several pop-ups, and 1 public open house. So that came out to be about 3 public engagement opportunities. They're detailed on page 4 of their plan. They also have a detailed list of deliverables, page 7, including plan view and planning level inventory of conditions. And they provide leads in the following areas of development and land use, public space and streetscape, public infrastructure, and multimodal connectivity. They did revise the scope. They added quite a bit to it based on a conversation that they had with Jenny and I last week. Jenny and I met with Bolton and Mink, and we emphasized the need for infrastructure. We emphasized the need for placemaking and streetscapes, and we encouraged them to reduce the market analysis in those areas that we felt didn't need the resources devoted to that. So they did revise the scope to provide additional details on the anticipated public infrastructure. They removed the parking study as a value add service call out. They can certainly still put it in. They did do additional stormwater planning and recommendations. They clarified that public infrastructure phasing recommendations will be included. There's a slight reduction in anticipated architectural recommendations. With their plan, they have additional street, trail, and sidewalk planning, design, and recommendations, and they clarified that parking inventory and management recommendations would be included. Revisions to the schedule and fee, they adjusted the start date, they added some additional fees, and then they clarified the fee as not to exceed. The Widseth proposal, the initial proposal was $140,420. Their revised proposal came in at $119,120. They divided their plan into 3 focus teams that address the culture. Second one addressed mobility and the environment, and the third addressed the economy. They broke down their plan into 5 steps: market analysis, vision and goal setting, create focus teams, comprehensive public engagement, and then, of course, the final downtown master plan. Included in their proposal is 3 public events, such as a pop-up at the turtle races, a design showcase, and 1 open house. They also proposed to use online surveys. 3 planning commission meetings, 2 city council meetings, and monthly team meetings are also included. One of the really great areas of their plan was to use the ArcGIS integration. We have worked with WIDSETH to have our own Esri ArcGIS map for the city. This will be really great for public works. It'll be really great for the planning and zoning to be able to have that map. It'll be available not only to staff, it'll be available to the community as well. What WIDSETH proposes to do is to use that as a community hub for this project. I can get to WIDSETH.
Bethany, if you click on the right-hand pane there.
Oh,
click
yeah.
that Down
Thank you.
arrow. There you go.
That's much better,
I learned the hard way too.
talking and doing this.
Mm.
I think WIDSETH is Wade. Sorry about that. Anyway, they want to use that as a community hub in order to have some feedback with the community to be able to use that resource. And then they've also proposed the development of a dedicated static website. One of the great things about the WIDSETH proposal is they've got a clear cost breakdown with the itemized list of deliverables. And here's the breakdown of the deliverables. They have that along with an itemized price point as well. They revised their scope to remove a little bit of the market analysis, but they did say that they would provide a general area that they would suggest that could be used to infill for development and parking. They've removed the tasks within the business development and focus area related to market analysis. They would not revisit any design suggestions for Pocket Park, and they would minimize the 3D renderings, and that's what allowed them to meet our budget. In the printed packet that I have for you, there's a much larger, Josh, you've got it. It's a much larger printout that you can actually read. Those other ones are a little bit small, so I encourage you to look through that. And moving back to the HKGI. HKGI has, their initial was 156,000. Their revised came in at 104.7 thousand. They've divided it into 4 tasks: existing and market assessment, vision and goal setting, plan focus areas, and plan development and approval. They offer up to 4 virtual stakeholder meetings, 4 planning commission meetings, and 4 city council meetings, 2 open houses, and bi-weekly meetings with primary staff. We found that HKGI has a good understanding of Nisswa's appeal, areas of improvements, and the unique challenges that we face. They revised the scope, and when they revised their scope, they didn't just take out portions, they completely redid it. So I hope that you had a chance to look at that. In that, they plan to refocus the areas to include utilities, assessment, and solutions. Once again, Jenny and I spoke with them about some specific areas that we wanted addressed. Then they also have an area of streets and public realm placemaking, design, and strategies. Number 3 is testing, guiding, and supporting future development and existing businesses. And then 4 is implementation and funding. They also went with a 2-prong approach that included a master plan that is grounded in community outreach and input, focused on infrastructure and public space, and helps to support an already thriving downtown. They also focused on actionable items planning level instead of detailed engineering work, and designed streamlined processes to combine the planning commission and the city council meetings. That was a lot. Does anybody have any questions? Or would you like to start on any of these plans?
Which one did you find that was, I mean, you talked about Widseth and the things that were gonna be helpful long-term. With,
Yeah, we discussed at length. So the staff that have been looking at this to give a recommendation and to provide feedback tonight, it consisted of myself, Jenny, Amber, Park and Recs, and Tom Blommer in Public Works. We found that all of them are really good. And there are parts from all of them that we really enjoyed and that we really liked. There was a lot of great things for each of them. We'd really like to hear what your opinions were. And we really want to encourage you to, as the steering committee for this downtown master plan, we really want to encourage you to pick what you want and pick the one that you really feel. I'll give you our opinion, of course, but we really wanted to hear some feedback first about your initial responses to these plans.
Was Widseth the only, I mean, it wasn't in the packet, but the fee schedule, I think, is extremely helpful. Especially for, I mean, transparency's sake, if a government entity is spending this amount of money, it'd be nice to know what that breaks down and what that looks like. Otherwise, you just see that big number.
Right, and Widseth is the only one that broke it down to that detail. I know HKGI also offered a breakdown, especially when they did the revising of general costs for each focus areas, but they don't have it broken down by the hours and
Okay.
and whatnot. Jenny, did you find with working with the parks, if they, if staff got that itemized breakdown at a later date?
Good evening, Planning Commission. No, we didn't, but thinking back to the scope of the Parks Master Plan, we're talking about $35,000 compared to, 100 to 120. So I think different scope in that regard.
Okay.
So, but not for that project.
Personally, I got personal experience with two of the firms, with Widseth and with Bolton and Mink. HKGI is, the city's obviously got a history with the park plan. I think all of these firms will do a great job. They'll all present a plan and a program that will be easily followed, I believe, and it'll probably be right on. Some of them are going to have to use, and this comes from the fact that Widseth Smith is our city engineers and have been working here a long time. And they've got their finger on all of the information, the infrastructure information, whatever is available here, and the others are gonna have to get that either from them or redevelop it themselves. And so after I've read through the plans and the revisions and with the numbers coming out where they're in the same range now, it makes life a lot simpler. Personally, I would like to see us stay with somebody who's got the familiarity with the city like Widseth does. I don't have any problem with either one of the other ones if, should they be selected, but that's just kind of what I'm just looking at the development of the data that they're gonna need in order to complete this, and that just seems like that would make more sense to me, but.
I would agree with that assessment. I have lots of personal experience with Bolton Mink just because I have a family member that's a surveyor and an engineer at a different spot. And we've done stuff at our different developments and they've always been extremely thorough. But again, whenever we have to go into something, if this is for engineering or surveying, if you have somebody that's done it before, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, he's right. I mean, it's easier to locate the information and do it more quickly.
And I believe that either or both Bolton and Mink and Woodseth would probably end up using LiDAR just to,
Yeah.
you know, for scanning to develop the actual physical downtown area, and they'll have all that same data. Whether or not the third company has that ability, I don't know. I don't remember seeing it in their plan, but they probably hire somebody to do the same thing, so. But that would be covered in their proposal anyway, so.
What specific feedback would you be looking for? Would city staff want from us? What do you?
Tonight, we are looking for a recommendation to give to city council. So I apologize for the quick turnaround on this. I know you guys have not had this information very long, but we did want to keep on a good schedule for this summer so that whatever firm does get selected is able to do their research and do their data collecting this summer yet.
I think so far as Woodseth being an employee of the city anyway, as being the city engineer. But this is a contract where they'll be working for the city, developing the same type of information, but more of a planning side. My first thought when you think about that is, would Woodseth have conflict of interest? Would there be a problem with conflict of interest? If they're working for a private contractor or a private client at this point, I think there would be. But I don't think that's a problem with this one, so.
I guess I felt that way after reading through what I read through. Same thing was, I mean, they're already working here and we've got that relationship built that.
Is it too soon to ask what the city's,
No, not at all.
what the committee's recommendation or
I-
feelings are?
I will say Woodseth is definitely in our top two that we've picked. Our concern was capacity. I do know that sometimes like we've got a lot going on with them right now. But it is a different department and it is a different branch. And so it would be very interesting to see how that would go with Woodseth once again. They're all great, and I think we'd all be in a great spot. Staff did recommend HKGI. With the exception of Tom Blommer, who said that he would recommend Woodseth, but only because of the engineering familiarity. But if it hadn't been then, he said he wouldn't have been, they would have been second to him as well.
Bethany, on the portion for HKGI,
Mhm.
task number 3, utility assessment and solutions. Is that data that they're gonna have to go get on their own?
The utility assessment and solutions.
Yeah.
Based on their deliverables that they do point out, this is on page 13 of the revised. The deliverables, they say, are the planning level layouts and locations for storm sewer and alternative stormwater, sanitary sewer adjustments, and a logical approach to provision of municipal water. I think in the beginning of their plan, they would reach out and gather all the information that the city does have. This, whether Woodseth prepared it or not, it still belongs to the city. It's our information. And so they would be asking the city for those records as well.
Was this the final proposals from Bolton and Mink and Woodseth, dollar amounts?
Yes.
That's it?
Oh, I'm sure they'd be happy to work with that and work within that scope. If we decided that something needed to be added to, Woodseth proposed to take Pocket Park right out of that. If we wanted to add it in, I'm sure they'd give us a quote for that.
I was just gonna mention Pocket Park was something that we both looked at that and said, we want something incorporated into the plan. So whether we need to adjust something else to stay within our budget I think Pocket Park was one of those important components. So that would be an example if they'd work with us and make sure that we're meeting the needs across the board. I think this is just to give you a general perspective on their approach, their scope, types of public engagement that they're thinking about doing, but all of that can be worked out when we sit down with whichever firm ultimately is chosen. They'll all work with that, with us.
So just to review, the Bolton Mink was 118, Woodseth was 119. I know there's change in there. And then HKGI was 104.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's 14 grand. I mean, that's pretty significant. Why the discrepancy between the three bids?
The discrepancy, well, HKGI was actually the top of these three with their initial. What they did do is they revised their market assessment to provide more of a snapshot, not such in-depth market assessment. So they removed, let's see. Right, there's a few pages here.
I think they were gonna go into some housing study data and look at, I mean, all kinds of, from apartments to single family, I mean, really get into the depths of that. And we thought for this project, probably not necessary for something like that. We really want to maybe high level retail market information, maybe some mixed use, but other than that, probably not for this study. I think that was one of the bigger
Yeah.
components
yeah.
that they took out of that, so.
Okay.
It's really hard. It's not apples to apples, as you know, to try to understand how much time each one is looking to devote, but they all really responded to we want the outcome of the infrastructure component so that we can use that for our planning purposes and really scaled back some of that economic market drivers because we have a thriving downtown. So we don't need to worry about redevelopment maybe that other communities might be looking at.
I have one question, HKGI proposal, they're also teamed up with another firm, LOC. Is that correct?
There's two.
What is that? Is this two separate companies that are coming together to act as one to build this plan?
There's actually three. I believe they have Stantec for their
Or
engineering.
Stantec, right? Right,
Mhm.
right, three.
For their engineering, and then the LOCI is for their consulting. And that's for the market research.
Does that, does that work out to, can that be a problem or coordination between the three? Is that?
I think they would be, the general basically, and then they're gonna sub some work out to those companies as
Yeah.
needed.
It's probably a minor
most-
thing, but
Right,
when you've
right.
got multiple companies involved in one project,
Right,
it gets to be who's on first base,
certainly, yes. I think with the Woodseth proposal, it's all under one umbrella because they have multiple departments and disciplines that they're working off of. So it is a little bit of a different approach.
Stantec is a engineering firm that we've crossed paths with in my industry. They're more power utilities, so perhaps that's what the leverage is for. They don't have that in-house expertise.
So you said the staff at this point prefers to go with HKGI.
HKGI was our
That's your number one.
recommendation,
That's your one of two.
and Woodseth,
Okay.
and they're like, right, so. Very close.
Yeah.
I think staff would support any decision that the planning commission would make and any recommendation that the planning commission would
Well-
make to city council.
Personally, the staff has got a lot more
Right.
information of what's going on here with these than we would, this is it's a lot of paperwork to go through, and I don't know if anybody here sat and compared line items, it's
as best we could. It's,
The
it's,
staff did, but we, as a planning commission, I don't
Yeah.
think we did.
I didn't spend too much time on the bios.
No, I didn't spend much time either. Um, Okay,
Well, Jenny, do you have any thoughts one way or another?
I think Bethany summarized it really well. We really struggled between the two proposals. They're both excellent, and just pros, for different reasons. We certainly have a long-term relationship with Witset. They have a lot of that data already in-house that we've talked about, and that's really important. And then some of the long-term planning with that ArcGIS program and stuff could be really exciting and really useful. HKGI, we've had really good experience with them with our Parks Master Plan. They've been very responsive, and the public engagement experience was really good. So that's a really, it's a positive for them. I have nothing but great experiences working with them, and they were on task and very communicative. So I think the experience was good with that process, and we're confident that we'd have the same kind of follow with the downtown master plan. That would be there'd be continuity between the two plans, I think, just because one firm's doing both, but ultimately we're very happy to work with either one. We sat this afternoon and just thought, well, I'm sure we have to pick one at some point, and so that's, Amber, Beth and I picked HKGI, Tom picked Witseth, but really, I mean, it's a coin toss, and so we're very supportive of either direction. If your gut's telling you one thing, we're happy to move forward with that.
I think another item that needs to be considered here is, and this is just something that's recently come up, of course, is the fact that the GIS related, with the ESRI, the development of that program in-house is very complicated stuff, and the city's embarking on that, and Widseth is also included doing that.
correct.
Is HKGI, do they have that same capabilities?
I'm not quite sure if they can, add to our GIS Pro and do that. I just know that Widseth, we're doing that right now with Widseth, is getting that map up and running. And so they use that as an opportunity to be able to use that in this planning.
That's
I-
a relatively new thing.
It
so
is,
it's-
and I like the idea of
important
them
too.
having that for the next year. And by default, there'll be substantial training for staff and the community in using that feature. So that was a definite draw for Widseth. Not a drawback, a definite positive for Widseth.
Do we want to go through and should we have everybody just give a recommendation just personally and then see where we're at and then go from there?
Yes.
I think that's probably the best. Well, Sean, you're on my right. You can go first.
I don't know, Widseth just, I guess, I feel more comfortable with them. I don't have any basis on the other one at all. But, I work with Widseth in two cities, and I just seem to be comfortable with them, but
For me, the only thing that gives me pause is a monetary difference. But with all the other significant issues, I think I would be leaning Widseth personally. Just based on the GIS, I mean, everything, they have access to everything, they're local. I think that's more important for me personally, but
As well, am I hesitate to go against the staff's recommendation,
that's,
but it's just a personal feel now, if there's probably there could be something in here that's buried deep that we're not aware of, but but personally, I'd be more comfortable if we stayed with Widseth on this.
I very much appreciated the fee schedule. I think
Yeah.
that the transparency piece is really important with the public.
That
So,
was excellent. We really appreciated that too.
yeah. John? Okay.
We're very comfortable working with Widseth, absolutely. Yeah, and I really appreciate, yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot tonight, but we really wanted to know what you wanted and what you felt comfortable with. This is going to be a long process. There's going to be quite a few meetings. And it's going to be really great to make sure that you're comfortable, you're familiar with it. And the fact that all of you feel that way, that makes staff feel better too.
That doesn't mean
so.
the council's gonna feel that way though,
No.
you know, correct? You know, but,
Dollars are obviously considered across. the board, of
dollars,
course,
Yeah.
you know,
but-
monetary considerations are, you know, you have to explain this to the citizenry, why,
But what's the cost value of that delta between the high and the low bidder?
yeah.
That's the day old adage for anybody that's open bidding anything, right? It's the potential comebacks of having somebody becoming the low bidder and then not saying at all that this is the case, but there's then the change order theory, right? We're gonna come back for them in the third, fourth, fifth month before we get to the completion of the project and be able to have the additional fees that are gonna inch close to maybe that delta that was there or above and beyond it. Not saying that any of these firms would do that, but we may be ahead by going with somebody that is that familiar with our problems. Because they hold the mirror for us as we look ourselves in the mirror, right?
And Widseth has always done an excellent job about being upfront, and we'll review everything again. So if they can get the work done under that quote, they're gonna do it. I mean, I have every confidence in that too. So just for some reassurance in that regard.
Staff would like to recommend that if you do recommend Widseth, that you put Pocket Park back into the plan. Whatever that might be.
Yeah.
That was really
Yeah.
important to
Say,
say.
say that again. I
What
didn't
is
hear
it?
that.
I missed
Um,
that.
One of the items that Widseth took out of their proposal to meet the budget requirement was an evaluation of Pocket Park. And Pocket Park is the small park right by Big Axe. It's where the tunnel is. It needs design, it needs some identity, it needs a purpose. It's underused and it needs the attention. And so we were hoping that if we do go with Widseth, that we can figure out a way to put that back in.
What was the fee schedule on?
I don't think they had Pocket Park broken down
Yeah, I didn't s-
individually, so we'd have to ask them about that.
One of the others deleted the pocket park,
That
as part of
Widseth
this.
did.
Widseth did,
Mhm.
okay,
Yep.
Pro bono,
okay, I,
Yeah.
pro bono.
well, you know, and these things happen in life.
Yeah, they do.
Re-envisioning Pocket Park. Yeah, $2,100. So we can,
Oh, we're not talking a whole lot of money.
no, so we
Okay,
could
but this
definitely
is a
adjust
bargaining-
something to.
Bargaining position with them.
So are we looking for a motion for recommendation? Okay, so I will entertain a motion since we all seem to be in agreement.
Well, I'll move that the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment recommended the city council that they accept the proposal with the inclusion of the pocket park with Widseth Smith for the stated 119,120. You know. Okay.
Do I have a second? Second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Moving on, old business, we have none. City planners report.
This last month, we've approved 12 permits. I'm seeing an uptick in actual homes, which is good, not so many accessory structures. Is yours coming soon?
It better be after tomorrow, otherwise I'm gonna wait another year.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. As all of you know, I did submit my resignation for city planner. My last day will be the 28th of June. It has been an absolute honor and privilege to work with you and for the city of Nisswa. It's very bittersweet.
If I could, I just wanted to extend a public thanks to Bethany. She has been a wonderful employee for this city, a wonderful colleague, good friend to all of us. We're going to miss her. We wish her the best. And we know we'll see her around, running down the trails, or, hopefully she'll stop in and visit us. Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, since you might have questions about process and next steps. Right now, we are going to advertise for the position, per our normal process, and in June, I will bring that to the city council for official approval, and to ensure that there's nothing different that they would like to see from that. I do plan to discuss with Sourcewell later this week the possibility of Bethany being able to contract with us on a part-time basis during the interim while we're trying to onboard a new employee, keep things running as smoothly as possible. And also just to ask the question if they have capacity for us to contract with them directly. I don't know that that's an option, but I will ask the question. So we've got all the information we have on how to do that. But I will certainly keep you in the loop. And someone will be checking emails and phone calls and messages through that time. And you'll likely see me in July for your meeting, but we'll keep things moving and we'll keep you posted on the process.
So that'll be full-time contract with an office based here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We dictate the
Yeah,
terms.
exactly.
Hmm.
No, thank you, Bethany.
Well,
It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah.
I think-
Yes.
You
Thank
are
you.
a professional among professionals.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bethany has made our work so much easier,
Right.
When Brittany was here, she worked hard. She did a good job for us. She put out, she gave us a lot of leadership and a lot of help but yours has been really exceptional and we're gonna miss you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Questions, comments?
None.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned.